Cyberpunk 2077 has certainly been on a rollercoaster journey. I think we can all agree on that. The hype leading into launch and then the disastrous launch that they had will be documented by many as what happens when you don't deliver on your promises at launch or your game, quite frankly, isn't ready to get out of the door. But to CDPR's credit, they've stuck with the game, they kept iterating on it, they kept listening to players, which culminated in the fantastic 2.0 update and then leading into a great DLC with Phantom Liberty. And I certainly enjoyed my time with it in September, October time of last year. But the question I now have, and I'm sure lots of people have, is what's next for Cyberpunk 2077? Just what's next for Cyberpunk? Where does the franchise go? Will it be a franchise or will it be a new game? Questions on top of questions. So allow me to put on my tinfoil shaped hat here and start speculating. All we know at this current stage is that in late 2022, Project Orion was announced, which is like the code name for the next Cyberpunk project because that was what it was attached to on the earnings report that we had from CDPR. The statement we actually got was the project is on the conceptual design level right now, and it's going to be designed by a team of veterans who are responsible for designing Cyberpunk 2077 and for designing Phantom Liberty. There isn't really a whole lot we can take from this statement, just yeah, they're working on it. It's in the conceptual stage, which is very early in development, but I'm not a game developer, so I can only judge from past experiences and say that we are probably a long time away from the next Cyberpunk game. By the time it comes out, I think I'm going to be firmly sitting in a rocking chair ranting to my kids about battle passes or something. I do want to give a disclaimer though. Everything said past this point is pure 100% speculation and theory / kind of educated guesses from some of the information that we have. What information can we talk about so far that would actually make sense? And the biggest one has got to be the game engine. We know that all future CDPR projects are going to be within the Unreal 5 engine. It was stated in the earnings report and also in an article that they were doing this, I believe. But then also there was an article that kind of confirmed this when one of the main directors of the studio was questioned about DLC for Cyberpunk. Mikhail Nowakowski pretty much said that it was a technological reason why they didn't add anything extra to Cyberpunk after Phantom Liberty. They've chose to abandon the Red Engine for Unreal 5, and for some of the research that I've done, mainly looking at articles online, the Red Engine was actually modified from The Witcher 2 onwards. From what I gathered from those articles as well, the engine that they had in-house wasn't able to keep up pace with other in-house engines. Take, for example, the Rage engine from Rockstar. And there is a correlation with CDPR games. Witcher 3 and also Cyberpunk 2077 were fantastic games for like their story, art style, and gameplay, but were let down by technical aspects, and CDPR had to do a lot of patching and a lot of updating of the game to fix so many bugs in it. So maybe this was the reason why they wanted to switch, and that would be why Phantom Liberty was the last thing that they were going to release. The thing that fascinates me though is that the Red Engine looks unbelievably optimized when there's no bugs and you actually look at it visually. Look at Cyberpunk. It looks amazing in the day and also in the night and during different various weather conditions, and it runs pretty well for the most part, especially since I last played it. So yeah, it sounds silly to change all of this, but being that they've made their mind up for the future, I am interested to see how the next game from CDPR looks within the Unreal 5 engine. I'm not a game developer, obviously, so I can't imagine how different all the different engines are, or how difficult it was to work within the Red Engine, but apparently from looking into Unreal a little bit more, their like open world stuff is going to be something that they can take advantage of, so maybe that's also a reason, and maybe Unreal is a little bit easier to work with. But we won't truly get to see this until the next Witcher game, which is rumored to be out next year sometime at a push, maybe even going into 2026. That is all of the confirmed information that we have, so everything after this point is just now speculation and theory. The first question that needs to be answered is whether or not this is going to be a sequel to Cyberpunk 2077 or not. It would certainly be a nice idea to have it follow along from the next game and be like Cyberpunk 2077 2 or Cyberpunk 2, but I think they would run into a lot of narrative problems they have due to the nature of the game, and they'd have to navigate that little bit of a headache that would be between the connection of Johnny and V and how the game actually ends. And also, depending on the choice that you actually chose within the game, the choices that you made on certain characters, living or dying, that would all kind of go up into the air because the writers would have to write something and certain characters will be back, and it would probably annoy a lot of players. This isn't exactly a Mass Effect situation where they can take your data from the first game and then continue it on into the next one, which was so cool at the time. I just don't think it's going to be possible here for a sequel. My own best logical guess is that it will be a brand new story within the same world or same universe, maybe even in Night City, or separate. It could be a few years in the future, it could be a completely different part of the city or the world that CDPR has built of the game. Maybe it's in like Tokyo or something in that area. And I think as for the actual themes within the story, I would like them to explore even deeper the net or the cyberspace area of the game, or even just go down into the corporate route, because we did have a lot of stuff with Arasaka in the main game, but corporate warfare, things along those lines would be something pretty cool. And hey, maybe it could be a catalyst for another game if they go into the cyberspace type deal, where you can see the game through different lenses. But then again, I'm not a writer, so I don't really know how it would work. I just make videos about games on the internet. I'm not like this crazy story writer. I've just got ideas that maybe don't make sense. The easiest thing to say is that CDPR knows how to build out great worlds. They know how to tell great stories, and they haven't been an issue in any of the games that I've played previously. So what would you like to see? What stories and ideas would you like to see from the next Cyberpunk game within the actual like story element? Let me know down in the comment section. Now we get to talk about the fun stuff and the things that maybe we could see in the next game, and what I would personally like to see, which I've done a video on this before, but I want to go into more detail here. And that would be a new location that we would visit within CDPR's Cyberpunk like world that they've built. And the city is going to be one of the better things that CDPR are going to be very good at. Night City is gorgeous, and I'm often surprised how many times I have to just stop and look at what's going on, whether or not it's the crowd effects or the weather effects within when I'm playing, or just stopping and looking at the city. And you have to kind of think, how, like, what are they going to do next? Like a completely new city that is like next to Night City, or we go to somewhere, as I've said before, Tokyo, or like a cyberpunk style Tokyo. And whilst I'd like to see a new location, I also would love to see them play around with Night City and expand on it a little bit more internal areas that we can go and visit, like messing around with the density of certain areas, and also verticality. Give us a way to go and check out things much higher up, because I felt like we didn't go too high into the skies within the city. I think more things within the skyscrapers. With new spaces could come new gameplay mechanics or traversal options, that type of stuff. But as long as they give us the same sense of immersion and that it looks amazing and runs amazing, I'm not really bothered which one I would have, like a new city or Night City 2.0 essentially. I do think it goes without saying though, one of the most requested features in 2077 is a third person mode, view mode, like a way to play the game. And we have that with the bikes and also with the cameras behind cars. But I also believe there are a few mods that can do this too. So we have got an idea of what it would actually look like. The thing is, from a third person perspective, it can take away a little bit from what the developer is trying to do in terms of immersion. But I understand that people would like to see things in third person. That's their perfect style. That's what they like. And it could be interesting to see. For me, I'm not really bothered whether there is an option or not, as in games such as The Outer Worlds or Starfield or Fallout, I don't tend to play those games in third person. I tend to stay in first person and keep my immersion. But then there's also the argument to be made that GTA is in third person, so that could be there. So there's a lot of things that you can do. even though there is an option there to do it in third person, I do think that the first person perspective is way more immersive. So maybe CDPR will take the time to make sure we have both view modes and make sure that it work, but it has to be good. It doesn't have to be like this added feature. If it's designed with third person in mind or first person in mind, then it could be something cool. But yeah, this one is one of the most highly requested ones, so I thought, hey, why not add it to the video? Surprisingly, this does link nicely into another thing that I think Cyberpunk could really lean into, which is the cosmetic improvements within the game. So we do get a load of them within this game, like the styles and stuff that we can wear, but I'd like to see them go completely crazy and take another step forward in the next game. So, for example, whenever you equip certain cyberware, it will change how you look. Like, imagine equipping gorilla arms and then you can change it so you've just got chromed up arms, or mantis blades and you can change the color of like the blade that it comes out. That would be something cool. Or we could also extend this to like cars and bikes and do things such as that. So that's why a third person mode could be very viable to see that a little bit more often. And like continuing on this specific thread, allowing for weapon customization, i.e. colors and swapping in and out pieces, but as long as it's like it works within the system, because I know they tried to make the crafting system something cool within the main launch. I think that what we have right now in 2.0 is pretty good. Just maybe a way of like making your own weapon or coming up with your own design and colors and stuff, or even being able to like potentially make our own unique would be pretty cool, with like designing stuff, like maybe do like a corporate mission or something like that. It would be something that I think a lot of people would probably enjoy as a side quest within the game. Speaking of weapons, after playing with the selection that we had within Cyberpunk 2077, both normal and unique, I 100% want to see CDPR step it up with the next selection of weapons that they have. The uniques were a really cool element to the base game, and then obviously in 2.0 they added a couple of more. But I'd love to see some more unique weapons that are just like maybe one-off uses or are just very different, and things that we haven't seen them do within the Cyberpunk universe, like a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher, or like get experimental, like a version of like a railgun, because I know we had it with the sniper a little bit, like the charge up feature. And recently, after watching Tron Legacy, I would absolutely go for like a throwable disc boomerang thing that we could use that could slice people up. Like, I'm down for that. Give me that, please, in the next Cyberpunk game. Thinking about it now, I can kind of picture the pistol from Dread, the like 2012 movie, which by the way is a super underrated Cyberpunk movie. I definitely think you should go and watch it. And I think the weapon that he has within that film has the ability to cycle between ammo types, and that could be a nice feature to have for a unique weapon in the game. Maybe even like the mono wire that we have. That would be pretty cool to have a latchable one where you can actually like grapple onto enemies and either pull them towards you or do like a quick hack whenever you grab them, or like electrify them as well. There's ideas out there, and I just want to see what the developers will cook up. But if you have any ideas for some cool weapons, leave them down in the comment section. As for other areas of the game, I think that the core gameplay of 2077 right now, as of 2.0 or 2.0.1 or whatever it is a lot of fun. There's a lot of different builds, stealth, melee, different weapons and such, but I think it can be improved on going into the next game. Stealth especially, add ways for us to navigate the environment. Like the cloaking feature is nice that we have in the game currently, but can you imagine a grapple hook that can take us into the ceiling so we can go on like rafters and stuff and drop down onto people with different takedowns? Or even using the mantis blades to be able to like go up on walls and stuff. More takedowns from behind would be pretty cool, because I don't think we've got too many in the game currently. And then I had this idea as well for like cyberware that would just be in a regular version of the game, where you, when you use it, it's kind of like how the Sandevistan is. It would put up a reflector that would just bounce bullets back for a few seconds. And I don't know if that's in the game currently or like a variation of it, but I think that would be cool as like a cyberware added thing. And I do think that the 2.0 system is a great change from the initial launch. It was simple enough in depth, but also it wasn't confusing as you went a little bit further down. There was like paths that you could go through. And I think the added element of Phantom Liberty too was just an extra level of depth, making some of the abilities that we had even better. What I don't want to see is just like extra nodes added for the sake of adding extra nodes. I think new trees or new ways to play is something that I think I would personally like to see, and maybe a few others would as well. We could sit here and list every system within the game that could be improved upon, so I'll give you a couple of rapid fire ideas. I do think that we need flying cars in the game, or the things that the Max Tac have, because I think it'd be pretty cool to make like some action set pieces, duking it out in the air with the police, or jumping from like vehicle to vehicle in the air, or like skyjacking somebody would be pretty cool. There are the obvious things such as the gunplay, the driving, some of the RPG systems, and just like overall tweaks to the game. But being honest, I love 2077 so much that it's hard to like suggest something that is like either a new system or like a big change overall. Crafting could be improved, like the itemization could be improved as well, but I don't really know what would be the main thing. I think there's a lot of good systems within Cyberpunk 2077 that are good, but they don't feel complete, and maybe that's what they'll eye up in the next game. I think that's a challenge for the dev team, and it's just down to what they come up with. To answer the question, what next for Cyberpunk 2077, we really can't, because we don't have enough information right now. All we can do is speculate, theorize, and wait for every new piece of information to get excited over. It is fun to do though. I did enjoy making this video, coming up with some ideas and going through all of this stuff, and I think Cyberpunk has been on the wrong side of gaming history, and it definitely has redeemed itself, and it is one of my favorite games that I've ever played, so I think I'll be closely watching what CDPR do next. And it has had such a lasting impact on me that any form of Cyberpunk news, that even just this game, other Cyberpunk projects around the gaming industry get me excited as well. But for CDPR, we know that they're working on The Witcher 3. That is well underway, so that's the next game we can really get excited about for CDPR. Hopefully they can build back their reputation a little bit and kind of get fans back with that release. And it will also give us a good chance to see what CDPR do with the Unreal 5 engine too. So I'll be watching that closely in great detail to see what is different, if it's actually an improvement or not. So obviously, Project Orion or Cyberpunk 2 is a long time away, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. I want to know what your theories are, what you'd want to see. What's your perfect Cyberpunk game? Let me know. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new to keep up with the content. And this has been It's Jimbo. I'll see you guys next time.